All right, in this video, we are going to talk about product market fit, and be sure to stick around to the end of the video. I'll share a way that you can get some free startup advice from me. Hey guys, thanks so much for joining me. I'm wearing my new Yankees hat. Quick story about me that you may not know. All the way back in 8th grade, seems like a long time ago because, well, it kind of was. I used to collect baseball cards. Never was a baseball player myself. It was more of a basketball player. And then for those of you that know me, know I've been in martial arts for probably over 30 years now. But my father was a huge baseball fan, and we moved to Florida for a period of time. And in Florida, the Yankees would come and do spring training, and I believe they still do down there, and a lot of other baseball teams do. And so I kind of picked a team that I was interested in, basically through collecting baseball cards and seeing some really cool pictures and things like that. And so the Yankees ended up being the team that I liked, which is kind of interesting because I'm nowhere near from up north. I'm actually from the South. You can probably tell by the accent, but the Yankees have kind of always been my team. And even recently, I've started to kind of go back to baseball cards a little bit, not a lot. I only have one right now, but it's a 1984 Don Mattingly Topps card that I just bought online. I've got a few more of his coming. So I just thought I'd share that with you, something that's interesting to me. The reason I'm sharing that with you real quick as a side note is, sometimes in life, it's not about finding yourself or finding new things you're interested in. Sometimes it's about going back and finding things that you were interested in that were part of you that you kind of let go. I've been doing a bit of that lately. Something else I've been doing is I used to be a huge Magic the Gathering fan. It's a trading card game that you actually can have battles with, let's call it. A little bit like Pokemon, but a little bit more adult, at least I like to think. So just been rediscovering myself. I would encourage you to do those things. What are things that you used to love to do, but that you kind of got away from and you could experience all over again that have great fond memories, like trading baseball cards? As a matter of fact, when I went to buy this one, I knew exactly what it would look like because I could picture it in my head, the whole thing. That's why I bought this exact version of Don Mattingly, who used to be my favorite player from the Yankees. Okay, enough about baseball cards and other random thoughts. Today, I want to talk to you about the idea of product market fit. This has really been on my mind lately because a lot of people ask me, where as a startup am I going to make the biggest mistakes? And there's a couple of places that I point them toward. One is, of course, financing. Not every business, not every startup needs capital to grow, but a lot of them do in order to scale. And so not being able to get access to capital can be difficult. But this particular issue is by far the biggest issue that every single entrepreneur that I have worked with that has failed suffers with, and that is a lack of product market fit. I'm a huge fan of a guy named Greg McKeown. I've talked about him in the past. He wrote a book called Essentialism. And in the book, he talks about the idea that there's no such thing as multiple priorities at any given time. You may have a list of priorities of things that you need to accomplish, but on that list, there is always one at any given moment in time that is the top priority. He also talks about the idea of focusing on doing less but better. And these are the type of concepts that startup founders really should focus on. There is no doubt in my mind that the one singular priority that you should focus on is figuring out how to get product market fit. Without it, your startup won't even get traction to get off the runway. You're not going to launch at all. You won't even get off the runway, right? You're going to crash and burn. And so product market fit is really something critical that you need to focus on. Now, sometimes when folks ask to work with me, I actually will decline working with them on a pitch deck or a business plan or something like that. That is until they have done a feasibility study and some customer interviews, because there's no sense in trying to go out and raise capital from investors until you have those things figured out. That's even true if you're trying to do a beta testing program with consumers. There's no reason going out trying to get someone to play with your product until you've done a feasibility study and then some customer interviews, or at least prepared some customer interviews. So you can complete a feasibility study to see what's happening in the market. And what a feasibility study can do for you is it'll tell you things like, how big is the market that I'm going into? Investors will call this a TAM, a total addressable market. How fast is the market growing? So we call this CAGR, C-A-G-R, which is cumulative aggregate growth rate. Okay, that's important to investors and you to show that your industry has a lot of growth potential. A feasibility study will tell you who the key competitors are. Is the market crowded, right? Within the competitors, is there one or two large, what we call incumbents, who are already there, who have got market share pinned down and sort of dominate it? Or is it fractured? If the market is fractured, you may have 15, 20 or more competitors, and market share is split up fairly evenly across the board. The other thing a feasibility study will do for you is it'll tell you how competitors are pricing their products. Now, this can be one of the toughest things to find. A lot of times pricing is hidden behind some sort of paywall or sales process. But if you can find it, looking at pricing will help you. So let's say you're trying to build a solution that's going to compete with MailChimp and ConvertKit and all these other email software providers. They all post their pricing on their website. If you haven't looked at that to figure out what they're offering in exchange for a price, and then use that for intel to build out your solution, then you haven't done your feasibility study work properly. Last thing I would say a feasibility study can do for you, or that what I do for folks is done, is we compare features and functionalities. I just mentioned that. So the beauty of doing a feasibility study is that when you've done this type of thing, you will have all kinds of data information, not only to make decisions about what you're going to bring to the market so that you can ensure product market fit, but there's another benefit that people don't realize. This type of research all feeds into your business plan and pitch deck when you go to complete one. With every pitch deck I've done for a customer, there's always a slide that talks about the market. Well, you can guess what goes on there: the total addressable market, the TAM, and the cumulative aggregate growth rate of the industry that they're in. So a well-done feasibility study will feed these types of things into your business plan and your pitch deck in the first place. So that's a lot of reason to do that. Not only a feasibility study will help you think about how to achieve product market fit, and it will feed you information, okay, that you can then use in the next step before you've bothered building these investor documents, which is customer interviews. Now, in the product management space, sometimes we call these follow homes. It's the idea of almost like you would follow someone home who's bought your product, watch them use it, and hear the things that they like and complain about with it. So with customer interviews, I always encourage entrepreneurs to make a list of questions that they want to ask of folks. Now, this is not about going and asking your mom or best friend what they think about your product, okay? You want to ask impartial audiences what they think about your product. And it would include questions like, what did you like about my product? What did it do that made you happy? I love this question, right? What did my product do that made you happy? If you're giving me a product and it's making me happy, there's a good chance I'll buy it from you. Now we can flip that around and ask, what did it do that made you unhappy? So I'm infamously known in my household for absolutely hating passwords. I never can remember my password. I've always got to look up my password. Sometimes the system tells me my password is wrong, and I'm absolutely sure my password is correct. All these things will happen. And so that is a process with software that makes me extremely unhappy, and therefore unlikely, if the software has these types of challenges, which are sometimes my challenges, that I will not use it. So what did it do that made you unhappy? Another thing you can think about is, what do you wish the product would do? I wish I had a product that would store all of my passwords and just easily plug them in when I need it. By the way, please don't comment on that below. I do know those exist, and I appreciate you thinking about me. What do you wish the product would not do? You know, one of the things that I wish my Jabberpuck would not do, right? This is a little external speaker for work. One of the things I wish it wouldn't do is make a noise whenever I plug it in, or lag out my computer whenever I plug it in. That's the type of feedback I could provide, or could have provided, to the maker of this product had I been someone that they interviewed early on with what they were doing, and they could have avoided those challenges. And then the last thing I think I'll actually share with you on customer interview questions is, it's always good to ask what they'd be willing to pay for your product. If they seem interested in it, they say it makes them happy, it's a good idea to ask what they would pay for it. Now, there's a challenge with this, right? It's easy for someone playing with your product to say, I like it, and therefore I would buy it, until you ask them to write a check, right? Whenever you ask someone to actually pay for something, that is the rubber meeting the road and tells you if you have product market fit. If they say, I'd pay $10 for it, and you say, great, give me $10 and I'll get you one, and they hesitate, then you don't have product market fit in their mind, or you're not meeting a problem, which goes back to product market fit, that they are really experiencing. So great question to always ask, though, just to get a sense of things, is what would you be willing to pay for this product? And then I encourage you to say, cool, let me pre-order one for you. Here's an order form, right? So I was talking to Dan Murphy of Slingshot the other day. Dan's a brilliant guy, works for a company in Kentucky that does software development. They also have a venture arm. And Dan was telling me a story that related to product market fit that I wanted to share with you. They had been working with, on a feasibility study and customer interviews, they had been working with an entrepreneur, and that entrepreneur had a solution. And as they got deep into the process of trying to figure out product market fit, they realized that the product had completely missed it. But the benefit of going through that process is that through the customer interviews, they found a completely different channel that they could address with the product if they just made a few changes. Now, in this case, that entrepreneur just decided that pivot, that change was not for him. But what they realize is that customer interviews may not just verify that you have product market fit with what you currently have. The value they bring is that they will also lead you to another solution or a better solution. And that's the real value. What happened in that story, in that instance, is that, the founder basically realized that by working with Dave's company, they had saved him about $20,000 in wasted money if he had continued working with the wrong product along the way. So spending some money to get a feasibility study done properly and having someone help you work through the idea of customer interviews is really, really valuable. So I hope that information helps you. If there's anything you take away from my videos lately, it's this: I need you to work hard if you're trying to launch a business on finding product market fit. If you're struggling with that and want some help, pay attention to the end of this video, and I'll share with you a way you can get some free startup advice. Till next time, I hope that helps. I hope you find your voice. Have a great day. Hey guys, thanks for sticking around to the end of the video. I've been thinking a bit about how I can help my community and the folks who have supported me in my venture on YouTube and other platforms. And so what I want to do is offer the opportunity to provide you with some free startup advice. If that sounds of interest to you, if you'd like to connect with me, ask me questions about your startup, show me your pitch deck, I'll work with you live on that as well. Put a comment in the video below just saying that you're interested. I'll pick someone random from the group that shows interest, and then we will arrange for you and I to do a live Zoom call that we record, where I can answer those questions, go over your pitch deck, talk to you about product market fit, and all these other things. So if that sounds of interest to you, or you know someone who could really benefit from that, please tell them about the video, point them in this direction, and have them leave a comment as well. I really look forward to working with any of you that are interested. Thanks a lot as always. Have a great day.